Hello everybody, welcome back to Miss B's Plan B. It's lovely to see you. I hope that you're well. I wonder if looking around you can guess what we're going to be learning about today. I reckon there's some big clues. You've guessed it, we're going to be learning a bit about birds. And the brilliant thing is we're going to be learning about the wonderful world of birds, and it's something we can do from our homes, or if we're lucky enough to have a garden, we can go out into our garden, or when we're out taking our daily exercise, we can do it in our local area. So what I want you to think about first of all is how we can really tune in and listen to bird song, because the interesting thing I've found is so often we're busy rushing around doing things, talking, that actually we don't do enough listening. So this is going to be my first challenge for you. What I'd like you to do is we're going to practice it inside first of all, and then at some point during today or another day I'd like you to go outside and practice it too, and you'll find if you do it regularly you'll actually really enjoy it. What I'd like you to do is just for 1 minute I want you just to be absolutely silent and tune in to what is happening around you. I'm just going to teach you a little technique that might help you to really tune in and calm down. What we can do is, it's always best to calm us down to breathe in through our nose and then out through our mouths. And when you breathe out, you can make a big exhale, because I want you to get rid of all that stale air that's right deep in your lungs. Okay, so in and out. And what I want you to try and do is breathe in through your nose for 2 and out through your mouth for 4. In, out, in, out. If you find that a bit tricky, just continue breathing as normal, and then the more you practice, just try and double your out breath so it feels comfortable for you. Another thing while you're out listening for birds that will help you to tune in is actually if you close your eyes, it will improve your sense of hearing. Okay, it really helps you to focus in. So that's another thing you might like to try and do. So what we're going to do now is I am actually going to time you for 1 minute, and during that time I'm going to play some lovely bird song, and I want you to be totally silent and just listen to the birds. Okay, breathe deeply throughout. Again, that will help you relax, and I just want you to see, how many different birds do you think you can hear? Okay, so get ready, make sure you're sitting comfortably to begin with, because that's really important, otherwise you'll be tempted to fidget. So if you want to have a fidget first, get the fidgets out, and then sitting comfortably. I'm going to time you for 1 minute. Remember, you might want to close your eyes to help you really focus on the sounds you hear. Get ready, good luck, ready, steady, go. Hopefully you heard lots of different birds and you feel really relaxed after doing that. One thing you might be thinking is, when is the best time to listen for birds? And one thing that I find fascinating is there is actually an amazing performance called the Dawn Chorus, which I've been learning about in this lovely book called Slow Down, written by Rachel Williams. And every morning, it's fascinating that the birds, when it's still dark outside, the birds outside are getting ready, and they come together just as dawn is breaking and start singing. And I must admit, as it's darker in the mornings, it's actually easier to hear it now because you don't have to get up extra early before the sun rises in winter, which is great. And it's really interesting just to hear them as they're all sort of competing with each other. And it does sound like they're in a bit of a choir singing their hearts out. So that might be a little challenge for you if you wake up and it's still dark outside. You could actually get ready and listen, and as dawn breaks, you'll hear different birds joining in to the dawn chorus. Now, what we're going to do today is, first of all, I want you to think about how do we identify different birds. I want you to think of as many different ways you can identify one bird from another. Here we go. So have a little bit of thinking time. How can you work out what type of bird it is? Have a good think. What clues are there? Count on your fingers how many different clues there might be. What might you look at to help you work out the bird species? How many different ways have you thought of? So show me on your hands, how many ways have you thought of? Might have one hand, two hands, depends how many you've thought of. Right, let's find out some of the different ways we can identify birds. First of all, okay, there's no right or wrong order to it, because we can do any of these things. Things like size are important. So you can look at, is it a big or a small bird? You might look at the colour of the feathers, the shape of the bird, the colour of the beak, the colour of its eyes. When you get really good at it, you will be able to identify birds by their bird song, because they each have unique songs. Some people can even identify birds based on the type of nests they build and the colour of the eggs and the size of the eggs they lay. So it really is amazing how many different things you can use to help you identify birds. Also, some of you might be thinking, and another way is to know what country or which part of the world you're in, because even within the United Kingdom, you get different birds in different places. The birds I have here, for example, this is I wonder if any of you know, kookaburra, famous for laughing. It's the laughing kookaburra. So unless you've been to Australia, you may never have seen or heard one of those. And then we've got some Amazonian birds. We've got a macaw and a toucan. So again, it depends where you are in the world as to what type of birds you will see. Also depends on the time of day, because remember, some birds, like the owl, okay, are actually, I wonder if you can remember what we call animals that come out when it is dark in the night time. Anyone remember? Well done if you said nocturnal. So some creatures are nocturnal, so you see different birds at different times of the day. Now, your challenge today is to think about one of your favourite birds, and you might be thinking, I'm not sure. Okay, what you might like to do then is you might at home have some wildlife books. I know I got this when I was very little, so it's quite old now, and I used to love just studying the pages and looking and reading about the different birds. So you might have something like that. If not, the RSPB website, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, that actually has a brilliant bird identification key on there, so you could look at that as well. And what I'd like you to do is choose your favourite bird, and then we're going to have a go at actually making one of your birds, because by making it, it will really help us to focus in on some key features of it, because it's not until you start looking at the birds closely you notice actually a lot of birds. For example, most people think of a magpie, for example, as just black and white, but if you look at its feathers more closely, it's got different colours in there, sort of purpley bluey colours. So I would like you to choose your favourite bird and then learn more about it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of plain paper. You're going to fold the paper in half, and I'd like you to have a go at drawing half a bird. Here's one I've done earlier. So think about, so you must draw on the fold side. Okay, so I've folded my A4 piece of paper. Then what you do is I've drawn my beak here. I've gone around on the head, and then I've done the wings next. And it's up to you. If you want to make it a bit simpler, you could just chunk that off, okay? Or you might do the feathery pattern. It depends how complicated you want to make it. Okay, and then you come in and then draw on some tail feathers. Okay, then what you're going to do very carefully, and you might need a grown-up to help you, or just check with a grown-up before you start, you're going to cut around the solid line. And again, here's one I did earlier. You will end up, okay, with a bird, because if you've cut correctly on the fold, you will find you can open it up and then you will have a whole bird that is symmetrical. So it's the same on both sides. Once you've got that, what I'd like to do is have a go at looking at your book or your picture of the bird and then decorating and marking on the key features. Think about how big are the eyes, what size is the beak, what colour are the feathers, and adding lots of detail to it. Then, once you've coloured it, I want you to colour both sides. So one side will be looking above of the bird and the other side will be from the side of the bird. So you'll pop the eyes on there. What I'd like you to do is, once you've coloured it, I would like you to get a stick. So you could go out on a nature walk. Okay, whilst you listen to the birds, you can be looking for a stick after you've done that as well. And find a stick, okay? It needs to be quite a thin stick for this to work. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lay the stick in the middle of the bird and put glue around it and fold it up so it just sticks the lower bit. Don't stick the wings because you want them to be able to flap. And then what you'll have is, here is one I made earlier. So I put my stick in where the line was, okay, where the fold was. I've glued around it, I've pressed firmly, okay, so I have made a blue tit here, and you'll see the wings, I haven't glued the wings together because otherwise they wouldn't flap, and then I have made a lovely bird. And what I was thinking is that could be really fun to play with. I could take that outside whilst I'm on my next daily exercise, and I could give it a bit of a bird flight, and then after playing with my lovely bird, okay, I might decide, actually, it'd be really nice if you've got some plants indoor, pop it in a plant pot, and then you've got a lovely bird in your house to brighten it up. You might even want to make a few of them and make a little family of birds. So I hope you have lots of fun doing that activity and learning more about the detail, about the feathers and the colours, and the shape of different birds. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care. Goodbye.